Okay, so this is the new Triumph Trident 660. It's quite interesting, this, because it's the second 660cc engine I've tried in the space of a week or so. The previous one being the Aprilia RS 660, same sort of size engine, completely different bike. So this one is a 660 triple inline engine, whereas the Aprilia RS 660 I tried recently was the parallel twin. One other thing that is very similar between these two bikes, which is also worthy of note, is that this has the buttons on the side here, the four-way buttons to control the display, the instrument display, which is ironically exactly the same layout as the buttons on the controller of the Aprilia as well. So there are some similarities, but I can tell you straight away, within the first sort of few minutes, this bike is so much smoother and easier to control. In terms of the engine, is so much smoother than the Aprilia twin that I tried. The Aprilia was a really rough, quite, well, not rough, but quite an aggressive engine. This is a really creamy, smooth engine by comparison. So it's also a very lightweight bike, this, very lightweight. It's coming in at under 200 kilos, about 189 kilos, and the official annual service price on the website is just £80. 80 quid a year to service a 660cc bike. There we go, just try a hard stop there. So very, very cheap bike to run, and the reason I'm trying it is it perfectly meets with this channel's the short rides criteria of being a bike that's comfortable to ride, manageable and rideable by people with sort of intermediate experience. And this hits that criteria bang square. It's a beautiful display as well, very, very clear. I love the way the gear indicator shows me bright blue, massive clear display showing me what gear I'm in. I've also got the date shown there very clearly, and the time, which is set in wrong at the moment, but that doesn't matter. But this is a beautifully smooth bike, about 50-60 miles an hour now, and I'm already in 6th gear, and I'm already over 4,500 revs. So I think it's not going to be too good on motorways, this thing. Very easy to get your feet down. It's a nice low 805mm saddle, so it's easy to get your feet down. Very comfortable saddle on this. Mirrors are a bit strange in the way they stick out, but they're going for obviously the retro style, because obviously the Trident name goes back years in terms of that brand and name. In fact, I was talking to some friends of mine, one of which is a retired guy who bought the original Trident back in the late 60s and still has it. You must go and have a look at that. He says he's still riding it. He still takes it out, he still rides it. He bought it in the late 60s, early 70s, and he says he absolutely loves it. So the Trident name is obviously got a big heritage with Triumph. You can order this bike with the V2 restriction and then have it removed at a later date by Triumph if you haven't got a full driving licence or full riding licence. This particular model has got the Triumph sat-nav Bluetooth system, which is an option, but it has actually got it built into the bike. So if you download the Triumph app, you can connect your phone to it and have turn-by-turn directions straight from the display on the bike, which is pretty good. Actually, let's just go down this road. This is quite a good one. Okay, let's go for it. 2 rider modes. You've got rain and road. That's it. So there's no sport mode on this. Picks up really quickly. Not as quick as the Aprilia 660. Okay. Nice clear rev counter along the top there. But you can flick it around very, very easily. So this sits sort of right beautifully in between my Ducati Supersport, which is obviously an out-and-out performance machine, or near enough, and my BMW GS310, which is a sort of a little in-between sort of commuter type machine, and this sort of sits between the two on the power range. Okay, here goes. Into the bends, sweeping right. Coming down into the left, tightening up on me, and off we go, opening up a little bit. Opening up, top gear, 6th gear, rev counter flashing quite heavily at me. Don't understand why it's flashing like that. Maybe I'm over revving it, I don't know. The revs go all the way up to 11,000, but the rev counter seems to flash heavily at me when I hit 6. Maybe it's because the engine hasn't been running. What would be nice to see is some interesting mods coming out for this. I'd like to see a bigger fly screen, or a fly screen of some description. I do appreciate that that's not probably what this bike's about, but having some wind blast protection would be nice. I'd also like to see a few different designs. This one is in white. I love it in white. I really like it. That's what attracted me to it in the first place. Also available in sort of a silver and a black colour. It's a shame they don't do it in like a few of the super bright colours like red and green and things like that. That would be good. They do a really nice yellow in the Speed Cup model that they do, and I think this in a nice bright yellow would look, you know, Speed Cup yellow would look really nice. Now what's interesting is when you are moving quite fast, you would expect to get a lot more wind blast than you actually do. I'm not sure whether that's because the seating position is so well set up on this and you're sort of prone forwards, so you tend to sort of create your own sort of air smoothing position. I don't know. So the mirrors, very, very good. They are very clear. I can got a good view behind me, and they're not vibrating, so that's good. Oh, we've got a fuel light on now. Let's just pull in here and put some fuel in it. See if this garage is gonna let me put some fuel in. Yes. Okay. Good. into neutral now, there we go. Okay, fueled up. It's still saying fuel low, even though I've put at least £5 worth of fuel in. Maybe it takes a while for the fuel to register. Now the fuel tank on this isn't particularly massive, so yeah, there we go. It's now registered that it's got some more fuel in. Certainly hope so. So it's done 427 miles, so oh, we've got more fuel in. Let's have more fun. My God. Wow, this thing picks up fast. Woo! This bike does seem to sit quite happily in very high gears at very low speeds. It's almost geared like my GS310, where you can be just doing 30 miles an hour and still be in fourth gear, which I am at the moment. Triumph for positioning this bike as the sort of baby brother to the Speed Triple, really. It doesn't have the power and performance of the Speed Triple, but sort of sits in between for people who want the sort of Speed Triple feel, because the setup is very, very similar in terms of the riding style. So you've got the Speed Triple feel, but sort of toned down and made a lot more comfortable. I'm really enjoying this. I think on a road like the one we're on now, this is really spot on. If you are sort of an intermediate rider, you want a comfortable bike that you can ride without too much worry and without being overwhelmed by the power and being in the knowledge that you can get your feet down when you get to junctions and traffic lights, then this is a good bike. My good friend and channel assistant Alan, unpaid channel assistant, did have an MV Brutale some years ago. Cost him a fortune, not only to buy but to actually run. The parts, he told me, were terrifically expensive, but a beautiful looking bike, revved to 18,000 RPM, I believe. If that's what you want, that's fair enough. Whereas this, you can wind it on, but you're not going to end up in a ditch. Should I buy one? Yes, I would like to buy this bike. There is one big problem though, and the problem is I spoke to the dealer to ask him what the situation is for supply of these bikes, and it's pretty dire. So due to the COVID factory shutdown, also due to Brexit here in the UK causing issues with parts availability, you've got to wait 5 months to get one of these. 5 months. Now I'm filming this at the end of April, we're just about to go into May. So if I were to order one of these, and I'd want it in this colour, and apparently white is the hardest one to get, if I wanted this bike I would have to wait until September/October. And the problem is, by the time you get to September, October time, the season's over. And Triumph are not the only people, by the way. When I tried the Aprilia RS660, I was told exactly the same thing. Okay, what we're going to do now as a final test is just take it down a junction of a dual carriageway and see what it's like if you're driving it on a fast road, say on a dual carriageway or a motorway. Well, it's okay. mean, I'm feeling wind resistance obviously, but I'm not getting buffeted about in the way that I was expecting to be buffeted about, if that makes sense. Bike, it's just starting to rain now, but I just wanted to show you just how good looking this bike is. This one's got the additional pillion grab rails added, which I think actually makes it look even better. I like it with those grab rails, but an absolutely cracking looking bike. So we have got the Nissin brakes, as you can see. I mean, there's plenty of videos out there. You can obviously at your leisure take a look at the official reviews on Motorcycle News and Ride Magazine and all the rest of them. There's plenty of reviews. Really do like these Triumph mirrors. They look really nice as well. Very, very comfy seat, very easy to get your feet down. It's just a beautiful bike. It's really, really nicely set up. I love the way the rear mudguard here is set up, sort of a very small split mudguard. And here's your display here with your various settings, brightness, service interval, engine temperature, current fuel status. Obviously it's not running at the moment, but saying 54 mpg is the average. There we go, trip meter, main menu. And this one of course has the Triumph navigation system. It's a beautiful bike, absolutely love it, absolutely love it. Well, I'm on my way back and the engine service light's just come on. Oh dear, that's not good. I wonder if I've taken it a bit too far. No, I'm not going to get into trouble. I think it's probably just, I think what I've done is taken it to its first service. Well, I've thoroughly enjoyed this bike. I don't want to give it back. Again, a big thank you to Blade Triumph of Stratford upon Avon for letting me have a morning out on this lovely, lovely bike. It's wonderful. Here it is next to my GS. So there's the bike next to my GS. Maybe that's how my garage should be looking.